Hey, everybody. Welcome to another round of interviews. Unfortunately, today the fabulous Gray Armstrong is unable to make it. He is not feeling well. And we here at Lindy still wanted to chat with you a little bit about the article that Gray recently wrote for us in case you have not read it. So maybe this will be the little push that you need. So, top of the notes. My name is Jo Hofberg. I am one of the many dancers on ilindy.com, which is an educational platform. You might already know that, though, based on where this is streaming and because you're watching it on one of those platforms, either YouTube or Facebook. So I have been a longtime fixture of the Lindy Hop community, and something I really enjoy spending my time on, certainly over the last 2 years, is figuring out how I can better support the community that I would like to have. And one of these tasks that I've had the opportunity is to get to interview some of the wonderful and gracious minds of the Lindy Hop community from the Black diaspora. So the article that the wonderful Gray Armstrong recently wrote for iLindy is called "Let's Talk About Lindy Hop and Blackness," an 8-part series discussing race, specifically Blackness in the Lindy Hop community. The questions, the one that started this whole series, boils down to one thing. How did we get here? How did we get to the point that so many Black people feel alienated from their own heritage? So I was going to read a couple of things that I found particularly interesting from the article. Again, hopefully encouraging you to go check it out. It's a really beautiful piece of writing, and it builds on his previous one as well. So lots of good reading for you to do in case you are a passenger in a car, you're taking public transportation, you're sitting in the sun, you're hanging with friends, and you want to have some really good conversational material, stuff like that. So Gray did a fabulous job poring over books and interviews, periodicals, and chatting with people, and he found out a lot of historical pieces about the Lindy Hop narrative that many of us have that don't entirely match up. Not to say that the story that a lot of us have about the history of Lindy Hop from like the 80s, 90s, and the noughties is untrue, but that there's so much more to the story that we have neglected to add to the narrative. So, so uh, a particular paragraph that really stood out was that, in his words, I'll be approaching this history in sections. These sections are segmented into groups and rough timelines. History is said to be told by the victors. To get a full picture, we need to look at more contextual and richer views. So let's start with the least dominant history. And so he goes through what's happening in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s and 60s, and then onwards. And one of the things that I noticed when I was reading through this article is that a lot of the white history sounds very familiar to me, about the ska bands and the rockabilly bands, and seeing the movies and the Gap ad, and thinking that Lindy Hop had just died, and my cohort was a part of the generation that revitalized the swing community, and like, thank God we were around, otherwise this dance would have been dead. And it was a very simplified narrative. I didn't think to question it. I don't remember thinking much about it other than it's just really exciting to be doing this dance. Okay, yeah, sure, like there's history. It just didn't really occur to me to think that there was something so much deeper and something so much more so much richer, and the cultural heritage connected to the dance I was doing. Certainly at the beginning, that wasn't what was important to me. I didn't have a sense of my own culture. I just really had a sense of, this is so thrilling. I feel so much joy when I do this dance. I, really want to wiggle my body around when I hear this music. I think it's super fun that people like play dress up and they, like get sweaty together. And I played sports growing up as a kid, but they were all singular sports. So like diving and fencing. And so, you get to fence against an opponent, but it didn't feel like it was a group activity. It wasn't like soccer or football where you were on a larger team. So for me, getting to join swing dancing, I got to be a part of a much larger group, and that I got to interact in a really fun and positive way with a lot of people. So I remember as somebody who was 15, 16, 17, and I was at a place where I was finding my identity, getting to swing dance was really thrilling. And I really felt like I got to be a part of something bigger. It was really magical. But it but I didn't know that there was something so much deeper and richer connected to it. There was just so much about the experience that could have been so much more exciting, and also feel an even deeper sense of pride in what I was doing, about how this was connected to the history of America. And as an American, and now in my 30s, I have a much different respect for all of this. So to just tell you, to share with you a couple of quotes, like one particular section. So I'm going to do this whole section because I thought that this one like really, really wowed me. So the 40s and 50s, the Black history portion. By the 40s, Black people were being pushed out of their own dance and music. Musicians were seen as less desirable by many and paid less than their white counterparts. White musicians had spent years boiling down and codifying what they thought made jazz and swing work. Groups used to be written, groups used written music, which many Blacks could not read. With things being segregated, it was just easier to hire an all white band. White dancers took over many dance spaces and jobs that came out of swing. Please remember, these are Gray Armstrong's words. Outnumbering the Black dancers and already being prioritized, the focus shifted away from meeting Black needs and wants from venues and bands. Unable to stop this, many Blacks referred to white dancers as jitterbugs, a nickname that was taken on by white dancers later on, unaware of the insult behind it. Black dancers sneered at their unrhythmic dancing and called them jitterbugs because they were like bugs skittering across the floor. Still, many more Blacks were drafted into the war, leaving fewer to continue to dance Lindy Hop exclusively. Meanwhile, there was a shift happening, as it does every 10 years or so, and as white culture takes over Black art, spaces, and ideas, there was an effort towards moving away from Lindy Hop by some. Frustrated by the lack of jobs, many Black musicians went towards bebop. It was created in part to push the music and in part because white people couldn't dance to it or play it. Others went down the path of rhythm and blues. Younger dancers took to this and modified swing to fit their emerging music. So there are so many more quotable moments in this piece, and I mean like paragraphs of things. But I really think that you should read the article for yourself and see. So again, I had my particular experience growing up in the scene, and my sense of what the history was and why it was important, and kind of what the basic narrative was. And it was really just a flat experience. And I'm really sad that I missed out on something so much deeper and so much richer. And this, of course, was what the conversation with Gray was going to be about. So, assuming you are still around and you're still listening, I wanted to chat with you just a little bit about what was going on here at iLindy. And I figured one of the great people to talk with you about this is a business partner, a fabulous man by the name of Tim. So, Tim, if you can pop on, that would be outstanding.
Look at that. Thank you, Joel,
Fabulous.
for bringing me on. How's it going?
Yeah, you bet. It's going well. I have to say, reading this article was really fun. And because I have this piece of technology called Pocket, I was able to listen to the article. So I had listened to it and then I actually read it as well, just because I wanted to be able to take it in. But what I would really love, I don't know how you feel about any of this, what I would really love is to actually have Gray read it, because I would love to hear it in his words instead.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Tim, do you read a lot of articles? Do you listen to more articles or like podcasts? Like, how do you normally take in your media if you have time?
If I had time. As a father of two and running a lot of projects, I don't always have time, but I do take time to read these articles, that's for sure. And
Uh-huh.
I think, and then what streams from them. So then they'll sometimes that'll bring me the next thing or what comes up on the Facebook feed. And that's the way I get to stay in touch with these stories that living in Mexico, I am directly and indirectly connected with, right? And being a part of the iLindy project obviously keeps me very close. And yeah, I'm super thankful that we're on this adventure together, Joe. It's amazing so far.
Tim, I just wanted to point out that we had a little bit of like a Dos Equis commercial right there. Just a little bit of like, I don't have that much time, but when I do have time, I reach for the iLindy blog. So maybe that could be made into a meme or something like that. I love that. So Tim, let's make sure that we are like super concise with everybody's time. What are some of the new fun updates that we have been working on tirelessly behind the scenes?
So yeah, we've been silent in general because it's been so intense behind the scenes that we haven't known what to talk about. But I think we're coming to a point, and it's a really exciting point for us as a project to be able to not just show through like words and future plans, but through actions and images and lots of things, new content and a new website. What this whole iLindy pivot is about, and I think it's been big. It's been a big learning process, obviously, and it's been just a whole restructurization, because we're going from a platform that just held you and Kevin up as like this is like serving what is what is iLindy and what does iLindy mean, without in the time that when we created iLindy in the beginning, we didn't have all of these narratives as organized in our heads as we do now, and the responsibility of that. And I think the new iLindy is going to reflect so much of that process and include so many more voices, and that's what is happening. We're soon going to be migrating to a new website that within a week will start to be visible. So we'll be making announcements about that soon. We're very excited about that. It's been 2 years in the making, and I think it's a well-deserved excitement to feel like we're finally able to have a tool at our disposal that really works in favor of the community and in favor of this new vision and direction that we have. So that's all really exciting. Should I get into more specific things or leave it at that?
I mean, I think we might be able to leave it at that. It's like we've got some changes coming. We've been saying that. And for anybody in the tech world who builds websites, you know how long things can take. So this is also why some of the information's been a little bit slow, is every time you're able to do something really well over here, then you stage the next piece of the next update that you're like, all right, well, look at what that's done to the website. So it's a little bit slow going. But is there anything else that we need to mention that it's just like, okay, y'all got to know this before the next great interview, which shall be rescheduled and posted about on social media once we get those dates together?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The last interview was really powerful.
Yeah.
I think there's so many great things to talk about that we should just kind of like let them come out one by one, because there's a lot of there are new artists, there's new functionality, and the new website that we will be starting to pilot is not the final version. It's a work in progress. The aim is that over the next few months we see a lot of new changes and new branding and new representation. So I think that's going to happen. I think, as we said, like starting Monday, Tuesday, we'll start to make little announcements. The word's going to get out, and we really hope that this turns into a big snowball of fun and amazing times and amazing information and just like, what's the right word for all this? I think I'm still struggling for the right vocabulary to kind of encapsulate what this all is, but maybe there isn't one word for that. So
Tim, what you said that really stands out to me is that it's a work in progress. And if that does not define not only iLindy, it very much, I think, defines all of us, as we are constantly a work in progress, making sure that we, continue to grow into, the versions of ourselves that we so wildly want to be. So, yeah.
Well put. Well, cool, Joe. Look forward to seeing you as the week progresses and seeing how this all pans out. Thank you, everyone, for your attention and your time, and being here with us for a moment. And thank you for your engagement over this interview. We had a lot of people interested, a lot of shares. We're sorry that it's not happening right now, but it will happen, and we really appreciate to see the kind of energy that is creating as these events come up. Cool. Well, with that, goodbye, everybody. Take care.